Today we're going to talk to Ben Brode and Jason Chayes about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. From what we've seen and played so far, the game is super fun. What we were wondering is if you could explain Hearthstone to our audience. What is the basics of the gameplay, especially for those who have never played a collectible card game before?
Sure, so Hearthstone is a free-to-play collectible card game that's set in the Warcraft universe. You can get in, play as one of 9 heroes in the game. Essentially, it's a game that's designed for anyone to come up and pick up and play to be a very accessible experience. So Ben can speak a little bit to kind of what happens when you start up the game, maybe kind of give everybody a heads up as to how the turn flow goes and everything.
Sure, wonderful. Hello, Blizz Planet. Yeah, it's a collectible card game, as you mentioned, and you choose one of 9 heroes. I'm a little bit reiterating. It's really fast-paced. You play minions and cast spells and equip weapons to crush your opponent, but it's really like whimsical and lighthearted as well. You can emote back and forth with your opponent. It's really fun.
All right, great. So far in the demo, we've seen many minion cards, spell cards that can be played on the active player's turn. Is there any intention to have counterspell style interrupt cards?
Given that we wanted the games to play really fast, we don't have any interrupt cards that you can play on your opponent's turn, but we do have counterspells and things like that that you play on your own turn that the opponent can run into, so you can kind of put down some things that your opponent has to navigate. They know that they have something up your sleeve, but they don't know exactly what it is, and they have to try and work around it.
That sounds great. In Magic the Gathering, you can have up to 4 cards of the same kind in the same deck. Are there any intentions like this or any limitations in deck building in Hearthstone?
Absolutely. There's a 30-card deck that you build, and you can only have up to 2 copies of any one card. And the highest rarity, legendary, you can only have 1 copy of those cards. So it makes collecting a little bit easier because you don't need so many copies of each card. And it also makes deck building a lot easier because on an online space, it's sometimes tough to manage a lot of cards, and 30 is plenty to play a really interesting, varied game. And so I think we did a good job with that.
When watching the demo, some people were confused on how the mana resource works. Can you explain how that works in the game? The mana resource?
You want?
Yeah, sure. So basically the players will be getting 1 mana every turn. At the start of every turn you're awarded a new mana crystal. Those kind of accumulate over time, so you can get up to 10 mana crystals. The mana crystals are available to you to sort of spend anything you can cast that particular turn because they reset every time you get to your next turn. So it's usually generally in your best interest to sort of spend all your mana.
All right, that makes sense. Okay, great. A lot of people have been asking about trading, but in the frequently asked questions, it mentioned that there's no trading. So this is strictly a collectible card game. What are the reasons behind not allowing trading?
So it's a great question. Obviously, there are a lot of games out there that do support trading that are similar within this genre. For Hearthstone, we felt like it was the best experience to, instead of having trading, we have a crafting mechanic. And so what players will be able to do is take cards that they don't really need, maybe they already have some extra cards, they can disenchant those cards, accumulate arcane dust, and use that arcane dust to craft new cards. And the biggest reason here is we just wanted to make sure that players had a great experience when they get logged in. Sometimes you can have trades that don't go in your favor when you're trading with other people online, and this is a way to guarantee that not only will you be able to get fair value for your cards, but it also will make sure that sometimes what happens with trading is you have weird fluctuations in the card economy. This way that you're always going to be able to get the consistent value for your cards.
That makes sense. All right, another common question has been about Android and the mobile operating systems beyond the iPad. We saw that you're looking at other mobile devices beyond release. What are the reasons to not offer Android up front?
So obviously, there's a lot of people who have Androids at the office. It's a platform that we think the Hearthstone has potential on, but right now our focus is exclusively on PC. So to start with Mac and Windows devices and kind of release Hearthstone for that first, with iPad to follow shortly thereafter. You know, obviously if our players are looking for other platforms, it's something we're going to be listening to and making sure we build into our plans in the future. But for launch, we're starting with just those.
I'm okay with that. I'm an iPad fan. Will there be an offline mode for those on the go who don't have wireless access on their iPads?
So that's something we're definitely kind of thinking a lot about. Hearthstone was designed from the ground up to be a multiplayer game, PvP. So because of that, I mean, obviously you need to have the ability to connect and play with other people online. So that's kind of the initial design we began with. Now, it is something that could make sense for us in the future to have the ability to play offline. It's something we're definitely thinking a lot about. There's a lot of cool things that we'd like to do in terms of additional features. So again, if that's something that, from a player standpoint, we're kind of getting response that that's a highly desired feature, it's something we can build into our roadmap for the future.
Will the game be account-based, so you can play on your PC and then have the same cards on your mobile device?
So that's also something we're looking at a lot right now. I think that would be a great way to play Hearthstone, and it's something that with our Battle.net team that we have inside Blizzard, we're kind of working on exactly what would be required to support that feature. It's something that we don't necessarily have a confirmed sort of approach on for today, but in the coming weeks, and we'll have a final update on what it's going to be like for launch.
And then in the presentation, we saw some shoutcasting, but we could only see one player's hand. Is there any sort of observation features in the works?
I think this game could be really incredible as an esport, but we don't really know necessarily right now because nobody's really got a chance to really dive into it. So we're going to wait and see what happens with the beta, see what players are excited about, and see if that's something that we want to spend our time doing as opposed to other features that players might be more excited about. So we'll see what players want.
Right. Will Team 5, the 15 do-it-all developers, what's the plan for the team after the game is released?
So our main focus right now is on Hearthstone. Like all of our other Blizzard games, we intend to support Hearthstone well after launch. You know, we're going to have new content coming out in the future, and so that's all of our focus right now. You know, we are excited about the potential for other things we could do, but all of our energy right now is going to this game and make sure it has an awesome launch.
Have there been any discussions yet on how you'll expand the game beyond launch? Will there be any added new decks or cards or heroes?
I mean, you can jump in on this one as well. We're actually still in the pretty early days of that. We definitely think, like other games of this genre, it works really well to bring out additional cards over time to keep the metagame fresh, give you new things to try out. Haven't really figured out the frequency on how often that happens or what's going to be included there, but it's definitely, like we said, it's something we really want to support for the long term with the game as well. So I don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
Oh, that's perfect, yeah.
And my last question, Blizzard employees have been claiming losing hours to this game in the alpha stages. What seems to be the overall consensus on what the deck right now is most liked, and what's the effect it's having in continuously developing game-wise?
Each class has a unique feel and something kind of special about it. We try to make all the classes play very differently. Right now we're seeing a lot of people who really like Rogue. Rogue has a mechanic on a lot of its cards where this card does something a little extra if you've already played a card this turn, and we call it combo. And that really makes it kind of difficult to figure out which card to play first because you may not get the combo effect on that card, but if you play something else first, you might get that combo effect. And right now players are really enjoying that. But we're seeing a lot of people engaged with all the classes. They're all really interesting, and so they're really enjoying it.
Do you have a favorite? Rogue is yours?
I have a lot of favorites, but I'm currently playing a lot of Warrior and Druid.
And what's your favorite deck right now?
I like to play a lot of Shaman, and there's a little bit of Mage as well.
Mage is my character, so sounds good. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate all the questions and answers.